Alright, welcome back. In this video, we are going to set up some coins as a collectible. This will eventually affect the score for the level, which will ultimately decide how many crowns you earn, which if you saw in the first video, I showed you the map, how like in a game like a Candy Crush or a puzzle game like that where it has a map and you achieve 1, 2, or 3 stars after completing the level. Ours are crowns, and the coins will affect one of those crowns. Let's go ahead and jump over to our level 1 layout and come over here to the layers, and let's highlight the objects layer and unlock it. And then we can double click on our layout and let's insert a sprite, and we can insert it wherever we want. And we are going to come down here to this animation panel at the bottom, right click and choose import frames from files. And if we go to our animations folder, we will see coin 0, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to select all 4 of those and open, and then it gives us all 4 of those files in order. And I'm going to right click and delete that first frame because it is empty. And I am going to select our animation up here. So it'll bring up our animation properties, and I'm going to bump the speed up to 8 and make sure that loop is checked. And then we can right click on this and select preview. And there is our coin. And it spins around. Okay. Let's make sure that our image point or our origin point is right in the middle. And then our polygon, I'm going to make it cover the coin itself on each frame. So I'm going to right click on this, on one of these points, and say guess polygon shape. And then I am just going to move these around until it covers the amount that I want it to cover. It certainly doesn't have to be perfect. Then we'll go to the second frame. And this one we can just move these in. I think that'll be fine. There we go. Then the next one, come in quite a bit. Something like that. And then this one, I'm just gonna see if guess polygon shape. Nope, that was a terrible idea. I'm gonna undo that and just do it the hard way. There we go. So each frame is going to have a different collision polygon because the shape and size of it is changing. So let's exit out of that, and I'm going to rename this obj underscore coin. Then I'm going to grab this and I'm going to move it into the well, I don't have it open, so I'm going to open my sprites, and then I'm going to move it into the objects folder. I'm going to move this coin down here, and I'm going to zoom in a little, and I'm just going to place a few. I'm going to place, let's say, one right there, and then I'm going to click or control click and drag out a copy. Maybe one right there, and maybe put like 2 more over here. Okay, I think that looks good. That'll get us started. So I'm going to double click again on the layout and go back to our sprite. We're going to insert another sprite. And this time I'm going to come down here, right click, import frames from strip. So I have this strip up here called coin sparkle. And that's the one we want to insert. And I'm trying to remember how many frames it has. I want to say it's 8 maybe? Or maybe it's 6. I don't know. I'm going to open it. And I'm going to leave it at 6 because I think it might be 6. So the horizontal cells are 6 cells across. So it's going to chop that strip up into 6 even pieces. And the vertical cells is 1. So it's not going to chop it vertically. and I'm going to import that. I was right. I have 6 frames, so 6 is the magic number. Okay, our polygon box does not matter. Let's set our image point to right in the middle if it isn't already, and we can zoom in here. If we click on our animation up here, we get our properties. I'm going to make this one a little bit faster, let's say 12, and then we can preview what that looks like. And there you go. And I'll play it again, and it's just a little sparkle that I made for when you collect the coin, kind of like you would see in a Mario Brothers game. Okay, let's exit out of that, and I'm going to rename this coin sparkle, and I am going to click on it in the layout and just delete it. Let's go ahead and head on over to the objects event sheet, and I'm going to right click, add a new group. I'm going to call this one coins. There we go. And I'm going to add an event to coins. And I'm going to grab our player sprite. Let's type in overlapping another object. And that object is going to be the coin. There we go. And when that happens, we are going to spawn another object to the coin. So let's go find our coin, which is going to be in our objects folder. I'm going to pick the coin, and I'm going to type in spawn another object, and we're going to pick our coin sparkle. And the layer is going to be the objects layer, and the image point is going to be 0. And I'll show you why. In our objects folder, our coin has an origin point, and the number is 0, and it's right in the middle. So this is going to spawn this object at that image point. All right. Next thing we want to do is get rid of the coin. So let's add an action. Let's go back to our coin, and we can type in destroy. I'm going to play this. And when we collide, we sparkle. And I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's little yellow dots right there. And that's because it created the object and it played through the animation. But the object is still there because we didn't tell it to go anywhere. So we could add a wait action and just wait a small amount of time and then destroy it. Then you have to kind of time out how long the sparkle lasts, and if the device it's being played on is moving at a different frame rate, it could kind of mess all that up. So instead of using that method, I'm going to wait until the animation is done. So we're going to add a separate event to the coins group, and I'm going to pick the coin sparkle object, and down here in our animations area, I'm going to pick on finished. So triggered when an animation has finished. Pick next, and that animation is going to be, it was animation 1. I'm going to go rename that. So let's go into our coin sparkle, and let's rename this just, I don't know, coin sparkle. All right. So now I can go back in here and change this animation 1 to coin sparkle. There it is. And that has to be in quotation marks. All right. So when that is finished, we can go grab our coin sparkle and type in destroy. Let's play that. When we collect it, and it's nowhere to be seen. And I think that's a pretty neat little sparkle effect. Let's go over here to our global variables tab, and I am going to create a new global variable, and that is going to be called coins collected. And this is going to keep track of how many coins we have collected in a level. Back on our objects, once we have overlap the coin, we've destroyed it and played the sparkle effect, I am going to go to system, type in add, and we're going to choose add to. We want to add 2 coins collected, and we want to add 1. So we can hit done. All right, now let's head on over to our level 1 layout, and we are going to create some text to show us how many coins we have created. So let's highlight our HUD. I'm going to lock the objects and unlock the HUD. So now we're on the HUD layer. I'm going to double click and add a text object. And I'm just going to place this up here in the corner, and I'll zoom in a little, and I'm going to change the size of this because I want it to be a specific size to match a frame that we're going to put around it a little later on. So 128 by 30 I think will do. And then let's scroll down and let's change the text to coins, all caps, colon. And then for the font, I'm going to choose Consolas. I think that's maybe how you pronounce that. We'll go with it. And then let's tick bold and change the size to 16. And down here, the horizontal alignment I'm going to leave at left. Vertical alignment I want right in the center. And then the origin is going to be the left. So that's going to put the origin. You can see this little dot right here. It's at the left middle. So that's where we want the origin, and that's going to be pretty important later on. I'm going to, with this selected, highlighted, I'm going to rename it txt_HUD coins. Let's change the color to white so we can see it on our screen. And I'm going to go into our main event sheet, and I'm going to right click, add a new group. I'm going to call this coin count. Add an event, say system every tick. So every tick I want to set our text to how many coins we have collected. So let's add an action. I'm going to pick the text HUD coins object, and I'm going to type in set text. In our text, what we want the text to say is going to be in the quotation marks, and I want it to be in all caps, coins, semicolon, space, and then the end quotation mark. And after that, I'm going to type in an ampersand, and then the variable that is keeping track of how many coins we've collected, which is called coins collected. And one more thing I want to set up in our initialize main, I want to go ahead and set this to 0 at the very beginning of the level. So every time we start a new level or replay a layer, we want to reset that back to 0. So add an action, go to system, and set value of coins collected to 0. Back on our level 1, as I have explained before, we have this dotted line here. This shows us the size of our viewport, and because our HUD layer has a 0% parallax and a 0% scale rate, anything that I put in this dotted line area is going to stay on screen in that area. So I'm just going to put this up at the top. This is about where we're going to have it, somewhere in the general area. We'll change all that later. And I'm going to preview the level. So when we start out, it sets it at 0. And then we collect 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if we die, we restart the layer. And we're back at 0. And we can count the coins again. All right. The last thing I want to do in this video is go ahead and set up the coins for the entire level. So I'm going to keep those 4 there, and if you want to place your own coins in your own level, especially if you have a different design, feel free to do so. But if you are following along with me, I will show you where I am putting all these coins so you can get them in the same area. There is strategy to my coin placement. And that is, as I was talking in a previous video about teaching the player how to play the game without giving them instruction. So this first level here, this first ledge that we start out on, there's no traps, there's no spikes. All we have is a barrel at the end that we have to figure out, oh, we got to jump up here to have enough distance to jump to the next ledge. But we can kind of break up this boringness with, oh, here's some coins to collect. And I put these two down low because you don't have to do anything. You can just run in, collect your first 2 coins. The second 2 coins, you're actually going to have to figure out the timing of the jump, because you could jump too soon and only get 1, or jump too late and only get the other one, or miss them entirely. So there is a little bit of strategy, but it's an easy strategy. So we're slowly teaching our players, our audience, how to play the game. So I'm going to give them, actually I'm going to lock the HUD, pick objects layer, unlock it, and then I'm going to give them another freebie. So I'm going to just keep control click and copying out these coins. All right, my next one I'm going to put right after the spike. Actually, I'm going to click on the layer and I'm going to go to my grid size and change it back to 16 by 16. 16 by 16. That way I can move it in like that. So here the strategy is, typically your instinct is you're going to try to avoid this spike obstacle, so you're probably going to start jumping right about here. And if you do, you're going to clear the spikes, but you're also going to clear the coin. So an experienced player of this game is going to know that you got to jump before, but not too soon, because you don't want to clip yourself on the spikes. So you jump a little bit before and land on the coin as you keep going. And I'm going to kind of do the same thing here, maybe right about there. So the idea here, maybe 1 over. There we go. So the idea here is, if you jump too soon, well, you could land on the spikes or hit the spikes. But if you jump too soon, you could get the coin, but you might hit this the side of this spring, which will send you back in the other direction. Now you can avoid all this stuff again, but that adds time because you can't control your character other than the jump. And that'll make it longer for you to get through the level, which is going to end up being one of our bonus points. I'm just trying to explain the method behind my madness of where I'm placing these coins. I'm not really placing them wherever. I have a strategy behind it. I'm going to copy and bring one over here. This one can get kind of tricky because if you're coming this way, because you don't want to jump up here, but if you come this way, you see that coin. If your instinct is to jump up and get it, by the time you land, you're going to hit that spike. But if you have patience, you wait, you pass under it, you jump over the spike, parkour off the wall, come back, and then jump again, you can get that coin and then make this jump as well. So like I was saying before, we're kind of training our player on how to play our game. And you can implement these things on your design. If your design is different than mine, you can still implement the idea of getting players to make different decisions. So I'm going to put one over here. Ideally, you wouldn't need to come over here, but if you do by accident, you get rewarded with a coin. And then I'm going to put one right about in and up. So what happens here is we jump up here and we hit this wall to turn around. This is a pretty big gap to jump over. Instinct would be to start jumping right about here to make sure that you get the gap. But you can actually jump a little bit before it, just enough to collect that coin and still land on this edge. It takes a little bit of precision, but it's definitely possible. Now the idea, I'm going to drag out another copy. The idea of the level design from my perspective is when we set up the goals for the coins, I'm not going to make it to where you have to get all the coins on the level to reach the goal. You'll just have to get a certain amount. And not all of them are going to be available if you are trying to get through the level as quickly as you can, because there's going to be a bonus for your speed. So in this instance, there's no way to get this coin on your first way through. You have to jump up on this barrel, drop down, and by the time you drop, you're going to be past the coin. And you would have to hit this the side of the spring to turn around, go back, collect the coin, and then you'd hit that wall, turn around, and then go back to the spring. This isn't necessary. This is going to be one of the coins that you're not going to be required to get to achieve the bonus, but it is there. And if you're doing good on time, this is a pretty short space, so this might be one you go back for just to make sure you get it, if you've missed one of the other easier coins in the beginning of the level. Drag out another copy and zoom in here. I'm going to put this one right like that. Now this looks like a gimme right here, but it's really not, because in my play testing of this design, there are often times of wherever you time your jump in this area, there is a possibility of hitting the wall, bouncing off the spring, and sliding up through this gap right here, and you never get that coin. And if you continue going, you're going to bounce off this wall, and then you're going to jump to get to this level, because then you're not going to be able to get that coin. So if you pass that coin, you won't get it unless you fall back down. And if you fall back down, you got to go back all through this again. So, like I said, there is strategy to all the coin placement. Drag another copy to right about, I think, maybe right there. Okay. Now this one's a gimme, because you're going to jump up here and fall down here. You're going to hit this spring, and it's going to bounce you this other direction. You're going to land right on it. You're going to get that coin every time. But then you're going to have to jump over this ledge immediately. That's where this coin comes into place. I'm going to put him right on the edge, and actually right at the halfway point of the coin. So what this does, you're going to jump and you're going to clear that coin every single time, because there's just not enough room to jump quick enough to time it out to where you get that coin. So you're going to clear that coin. You're going to walk all the way to this end. You're going to hit this, turn around. If you have patience and precision, you can wait to the last second, collect that coin, then jump. That's going to put you on this edge of this ledge, and you're going to have to immediately jump again and make it over the spike. Now, if you get that done, there's two things that can happen. One, if you don't time it out right, you could jump too soon and you could clear the spike, but you could fall down here. And once you're down here, you can't get back up. But you do get the end goal. So I'm going to reward the player for jumping correctly and timing it correctly. So I'm going to drag out a coin to right about there at the very end. Actually, I'm going to move him up one, and then I'm going to copy 2 more times. So again, there's a little bit of strategy here. When you clear this, you get 3 coins, right? Well, maybe, because this spike is an active trap, because we have our death collision here. And in fact, I'm going to unlock collisions, and I'm going to turn off snapping for just a second, and I'm going to put that in just a hair to make sure that we're hitting that wall before we hit that, unless we clear the wall, which is possible. So I'm going to reset the snapping and lock my collision, go back to my objects. So what happens here is once you clear the spike and you're here, your instinct, again, you've been playing video games forever, your instinct is going to be to jump and collect all these coins on your way down. But if you do that, you're going to clear that wall and you're going to hit the spike, you're going to die. And what happens when you die in this game? You start back at the very beginning. There are no checkpoints. So strategy is key, and experience is worth a lot when you play a game like this. So the way that you would do this correctly is once you clear that spike, you land here, you wait till you get to the wall, and then you jump. And by about the middle of your jump, you hit this wall, which will send you in the other direction. You collect all 3 coins, and then you just fall down here. And then I'm going to do one more little strategy here. So the way that I have the amount of coins to achieve the goal set up is whenever you get down here, you will have the opportunity to just glance up at the top of the screen and see how many coins you've collected and where your time is. If you are within the time goal, you have plenty of time left, then you can go and collect one more coin, especially if you need that coin to reach the coin goal. And in many cases, you're going to be right at the coin goal if you went through this fast enough to try to beat the time as well. So you could jump into it and end the level right then and there, or you could wait. I mean, we're talking about maybe 1 second extra, and sometimes 1 second extra can be the difference. But you would just keep rolling until you got the coin, then you would jump up and hit that on your way back. So that is the strategy. I wanted to use a little level design, game design, and actually I want to break this up too. So I'm going to drag down a copy, and I think I'm going to put it maybe something like that and something like that. So again, strategy, patience, and experience of playing these levels is going to pay off. Okay, I know that was a lot of explanation, but I wanted to be able to offer ideas on game design, not just programming and using behaviors and doing artwork. There's strategy when you keep the player or your target audience in mind. With that said, we are done with the coins, and I'm going to end that here. In the next video, we are going to add to our HUD. We've done the coins. In the next one, we're going to do the timer, and we're going to set up all the logic for that. So I will see you in the next video, and don't forget to save.